And speaking of plenty of matches to play, I do believe we have another feature match to cover here in the feature area. We're going to
Right
be
on time.
jumping into Zach Allen versus Kellen Bauman. Bauman on Amulet Titan, and Zach Allen on Fair Bria.
I
I'm
don't know what that is.
I'm actually unfamiliar with
Yeah, I'm gonna phone a friend here, honestly.
Fair
Fair breach.
Breach.
Got
I'm like,
it.
oh,
Yeah,
fair
fair breach.
Fair Breach.
Throw a
So
curveball there
we're
for this
playing
in the booth.
a I don't know how fair Breach can actually get, but like it's just some value to cast some creatures out of your graveyard
Yeah,
for
it's basically mostly the Murktide deck.
value.
But instead of playing Murktide, you're playing Underworld Breach.
Got
So
it.
you're just kind of like getting value. Unlike Ross Merriam's deck, which has like the grinding stations and kind of has like a fast Oracle and a combo in it, you're just gonna cast Breach and play 4 bobbles in your graveyard and just draw 5 cards off of it.
Yeah, well, if we want to talk about unfair combos, we've got our Amulet Titan player here.
Oh boy.
Oh boy is right.
Oh boy. The Amulet deck doesn't stop with it. You gotta say I'd be lying if I said I didn't know what that was. I'm sorry, folks. Possibly an Explorer, be my guess.
Yeah, it looks like an Explorer to me.
Countered by a Spell Pierce, played on turn 2 in the Amulet deck. I'm gonna call Explore. But feel free to call me out if I'm wrong on that one. But great start for Zach. Ragavan's active. This is the kind of matchup where Ragavan really shines because the combo decks don't have much interaction. So Ragavan gets carte blanche to just make a bunch of mana. Won't necessarily hit a lot of good cards, but the mana generation is so good.
Yes, and we see on the side of Kellen an Amulet in play right now, but not much else happening. So
yeah, I mean, definitely a scary spot for Zach. I mean, with Amulet in play, things can get explosive very quickly. But Ragavan's going that the one downside for Ragavan, of course, is that it's not a very fast clock. Right. So Kellen has time here to get things going. So a little pressure on Zach to find a second threat, but still in very good shape.
Right. You just hope that it enables you to speed up your clock in making treasures and being able to cast more threats. But
yeah, so this is sort of like the downside of not playing Murktide. In a matchup like this, you can't just like, all right, here's an 8/8, you're good.
Yeah.
But you see, buying the Gigantha looking for that threat like that, the breaches are good when you're playing a long grindy game. That was good here.
Yes, and we see Kellen playing a second Amulet as well as an Urza's Saga, and then passing the turn back. I mean, 5/5 might be able to help this clock along a little bit, but is it going to be too little, too late?
I mean, it does up the clock. It definitely is. It's 7 power, but the Zach has a kill spell or 2 for these Saga tokens, so they're not going to be doing that much. And
yes, and Ragavan hitting a Cavern of Souls, pretty unexciting here.
I was hoping for Gigantha, but
so the third path Iconoclast on the side of Zach, and a pass back of the turn. Zach could have cast a Primeval Titan had he hit it with Ragavan that turn. So
that's always fun, these matchups where like the treasure just really builds up, you just cast anything.
Right. We see Rot Farm and the Titan landing on Kellen's side instead. So searching up Zach with no immediate answer.
This is pretty damn scary. We got double Amulet and Titan here. See Zach sort of looking around, looking for a counter spell. Is there one over here, one over there, behind me maybe? Yeah. And now Amulet gets to do its thing unopposed. Now that doesn't always win the game on the spot.
Right.
But it's gonna put a lot of things in play. A lot of game action is going to happen here. I can't tell you what they all are because this that confuses me. But Kellen knows what they're doing probably.
He's got to tutor up some important lands here, so we'll see which path Kellen is going to go down. Let's see if
start off with Slayer Stronghold and Boros Garrison. That's step 1. That's the easy one.
It's pretty basic way to start.
Yep,
definitely can take over.
We got the haste and we got the untaps. It pumps the Titan up. That'll pump it up to a activated twice. It'll be a 10/6, and I believe a double strike here will be enough to some damage through. Now Zach does have bolts, so Titan could definitely just die here.
2 double bolt.
Yeah, I see there's a lot of red cards in Zach's hand, and Zach doesn't have the counter spell. It gotta have the bolt, right? It's one or the other.
One or the other. It's got to be, right?
Wouldn't come to this game with just a Gigantha in hand.
Yeah.
So if Zach's able to kill the Titan here, it really didn't accomplish much, truthfully.
We'll see.
So I think,
Oh, and triggering the Iconoclast. So speeding up Zach's clock at the same time.
That is true, yeah. And, Kellen could have So there were 2 untaps on the Boros Garrison and the Slayer Stronghold.
Right.
And Kellen chose to pump the Titan twice. Doesn't need haste twice, obviously, but it's still +2/+0. Could have saved some of that mana for a Saga token,
Yes.
you know, so like kind of play around this scenario of double bolt here. Makes the Titan not as good, but at least hedges a little bit against this scenario because now there's nothing in play. Whereas if there's a 3/3 in play that can block the Ragavan, that looks a little better too.
Right. And now we're talking Zach's got six power in play. And that's a lot. 6 power in play, Kellen at 14. You know, that hurts. That hurts a lot.
Yeah, that's gonna make things go pretty quickly here. Speeds the clock up a lot. Ragavan's coming in. And I just, you know, for a turn where the Titan resolves, that turn didn't go very well for Kellen.
Yes. Normally
Can I interest you in a 5/5?
yeah.
I'll just mail a 5/5. Yeah, here it is.
It's not it can do work.
Abilities, but you know,
It's got a couple of abilities. Not that Ragavan isn't providing enough, you know, colors and things like that. But
Gigantha's like, I'm a companion. I'm still here.
right.
All right. Lost some of my friends, but I'm still here.
Gigantha's great. We see a Construct now from Kellen's side as Urza's Saga hits the bin. And another Amulet.
I mean, 3 amulets you can do some pretty disgusting stuff with.
Right.
We shall see. Again, the amulet deck doesn't really just kill you. You know, I believe the Sunhome is in hand. It might have been the turn 1 land drop. So got the ability to double strike here, and then the Slayer Stronghold is also in hand. So
Right.
even casting a Titan, while it would do a lot of good things as far as value goes, it's not going to be able to have haste or do much else. We'll see. Again, the amulet deck can do lots of crazy stuff. We'll see what happens. So there's a lot of mana available here if a Titan is cast because the Titan will get 2 lands. They'll untap a bunch of times. It's a bunch of mana. Teleria West can search for things. Oh, gotta go a different route here.
Yeah.
As a Cultivator Colossus. So you are able to keep playing lands and drawing cards.
Yes.
That's how it works, right?
It's a 7 mana. It costs 4 green. It's trample. Its power and toughness equal to the number of lands you control. When it enters the battlefield, you put a land card from your hand onto the battlefield tapped. If you do, you get to draw a card and repeat that process. So as many lands as Kellen draws or has in his hand, he gets to keep drawing and kind of going through his deck, and that's a lot.
Yeah, and then don't forget also when this ability finally resolves, you have triple amulet triggers on all of them.
And that is a Valakut, too.
Yeah, so
everything gets to untap, and if Besage you, wow, it's almost like these Amulet Titan decks play a lot of lands.
Yeah. Now, once they untap, I think the Colossus is sized to the number of lands you have. Is that correct?
Yes, it is equal to its power and toughness is equal to the number of lands you control.
Right. So the Slayer Stronghold and the Sunhome are both there also, so we can see haste and double strike.
Right.
So this
and it
should
naturally
do it.
has trample.
Yeah, this should do it.
I don't know that there was anything Zach could have done against a 12-12 trampler, 14-14 trampler anyway. And wow, what a game!
Just needed the counterspell there, unfortunately. So
right, that was an impressive showing from our Amulet Titan player who seemed to be stuck early on and then kind of got out of the rut and just got into it. So
yeah, Cultivator Colossus, it's not as good Titan not as good as Titan in a lot of scenarios, but the perfect card there.
Right.
Very, very powerful effect.
So we're gonna head into game number 2 here on our time shifted match. We get to see a second game, Amulet Titan versus the Fair Breach deck.
Right.
We'll see if Fair Breach gets to do their thing this time around.
A little too fair that game.
A little too fair.
A couple lightning bolts and a 5/5. You really want to draw that counter spell. So we'll see. I'm sure Zach will have a bunch of good sideboard cards to bring in. Looking at things like Aether Gust, so on and so forth. Even just any counter spell at all, is the big one. And then I'm sure Kellen has access to a Cavern of Souls, so a Song and Dance there. And then Zach also might have access to Blood Moon. We didn't see the sideboarding, so we'll just have to see how it goes. But turn 1 Ragavan's a good place to start.
Always a great place to start, as we've seen a lot so far in this tournament. Getting that little monkey out there and going early can definitely make an advantage that cannot be caught back up on. So
Yeah, we haven't seen a non-Ragavan match, have we?
I don't believe so. What was
No.
the last one? Wasn't it Creativity and Rhinos?
Oh, yeah. I mean,
So
the last match we just
the last
watched.
match we
You're right.
just watched.
You're right. Yeah,
Yes.
you got me there.
I could have just pretended and been like,
Yeah.
yeah, one of them was probably playing Ragavan.
Yeah, they're probably there somewhere. But
It's in there.
Creativity hit Archon, Ragavan.
Pretty good.
Yeah,
Pretty good. Oh, Boreal Grazer went out there. It was on blocking duty, but oh no, it wasn't. Sorry, that was the card that was hit. Excuse me.
Oh,
That's
okay.
like Sunhome. I'm like, I
say,
thought he played it.
No.
I was like, oh, that's pretty good. That's good insurance. But no, that was the card that was hit off of Ragavan because there was no monkey defense that time.
Yep.
Kellen would have loved to have an Arboreal Grazer.
Yeah, Boreal Grazer is surprisingly good, honestly, being able to block Ragavan, of course, doing what the deck wants to do, but ooh.
Right? We see the Amulet allowing that Simic Growth Chamber to play out. Oh, it played out on explosives on 1. Not on 0, excuse me. And
What was
I'm not sure. I would have thought that was for 1 with the untap playing the Simic land. Returning the other land to hand.
Whichever's played, bounce the land, untap made 2.
Right.
We see the explosives here.
Explosives and on 0, 1. I'm unsure about what just happened actually.
Yeah. Because explosives on 0 would have killed the treasure. Explosives on 1 would still be in play.
Yes.
So I don't know what's.
I'm unsure. Yes. But it looks like the explosives was played out. Consider taking a little look here, and considering again surveilling triggers with the Dragon's Rage Channeler. Really looking to fill that graveyard. So this is with explosives on the stack, and then drawing, and now
Okay, there we go. Okay,
boom goes the dynamite.
Right.
So floating the
right.
mana before it bounced to hand,
correct,
and then untapping, and there's 3 mana total. That was an explosives on 1.
Now, of course, the cost there was huge,
right?
Because they destroyed the Amulet as well, which is obviously very, very important part of Kellen's deck, hence the namesake. But worth it probably. Kellen thinks so. So yeah, the sequence there was tap mana for Carlos, play Simic Growth Chamber, untap it, tap for blue green, use the blue green, or use a blue or green to cast the explosives on 1, and the remaining mana to pop it.
Yep, and I mean, Kellen can definitely still get back in here, but we see a dashed Ragavan saying, my little monkey's not done doing work here. Simic Growth Chamber going to be the reveal. Zach gonna make a treasure here, gonna return monkey to hand after playing a Flooded Strand for turn and passing the turn back to Kellen. Now, what kind of board can Kellen build from here on in? This Amulet Titan deck we've seen is very explosive, but it's just a tap land and say go.
It is not a tap land, so I'm not sure why it's tapped. That is the Sunhome Fortress of Allegiance, the double striking untapped colorless land. It is tapped. Not sure why. I mean, you are allowed to tap for a mana if you'd like to, and just pass the turn. So that is a legal play.
That it is, and but it looks like it is once again going to be Zach Allen's turn, and we'll see what happens from here.
Yeah, now, there's an Amulet in play. You can't play a tap because then you're like gonna untap it or whatever it is. But so taps on home. There it is. Here comes Ragavan. There it is.
Yep, Ragavan into the red zone once again. So Kellen down to 13. Gonna take the two here and make another treasure. And flip the top card, and it's another. So many. Is that the
we got a deck check here? Right? How many Growth Chambers we got?
How many Growth Chambers?
Come on now.
And now an untap and a draw from Kellen. We'll see what he has to play here. And it looks like a Boreal Grazer will come down. That is monkey defense.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Honestly, floating a blue. Get extra land in play.
Yep, and deciding to bounce that Sunhome back to hand and playing land for turn and saying go.
Untapped.
Untapped. Got it right this time. Yep. Sunhome coming in untapped, passing the turn back to Zach Allen, our fair breach player, who doesn't really have any pressure on the battlefield right now.
Yeah.
Honestly.
This is, part of the problem of dashing Ragavan is that you kind of just spend a lot of mana to get some advantage, but no board presence. And now with the mighty Sloth in play. Ragavan don't look so good. There's no Murktide to getting going here, and we're hitting the mid game. There's still 14 life for Kellen. A lot of time to do things. But here
Oh,
comes the breach.
here
All right,
comes the
so
breach.
we get to see what a breach can do in a fair deck, quote unquote.
Just a side note, Grazer is actually a beast. There are no sloths
What?
in Magic. Can you believe that?
That's ridiculous.
We got to petition Wizards.
Yeah, you got to write a letter.
Everyone write
An
a
angry letter.
Or Boreal Grazer.
All right, so we have the key components here to this deck being Underworld Breach and then Dragon Rage Channeler, which allows you to surveil with every spell, putting more cards in the graveyard and allowing you to cast more spells out of your graveyard with the breach. So
yes,
you'll start casting spells. Again, this is a value breach. This is not grinding station. This is not going to win the game on the spot. Just going to draw a bunch of cards off of it.
Yes, as we see, this is a consider here, surveilling and drawing that card. Consider to the bin and taking a look. Exiled the Ragavan, a land, and another spell off of Underworld Breach. Gonna say, yeah, I'm good. We can move on to the next. And now that's an enchantment, an instant, a creature in the bin. I'm not sure if there's. There must be a
Won't be
land
too hard
or
to
something,
get
right?
the last type in the graveyard for next turn. So,
no, if it is not yet 3 power, it will be shortly.
Oop, here comes Summoner's Pact. Is it Titan time?
Oh boy!
It's funny. We got fair breach against fair Titan here. There's no Amulet in play. It's just going to be a 6/6 that gets some lands, which is not bad.
It's still pretty good. So we'll see Titan hitting the battlefield. What will Kellen find here?
I mean, you get like Teleria West, another blue land. I might be gonna try it. I don't know. Animal Titan's confusing. The Animal Titan players are a different breed. They know what they're doing. They'll just do their thing. So
Close your eyes, point. Yeah. All right. Looks like treasures going away for a dress down trigger on Dragon's Rage Channeler. Gonna take a look at that top card. Ragavan hitting the bin. Dress down is good. We'll draw off of that. So Titan, never mind. You don't have to think about anything.
Colossal Dreadmaw has entered the chat room. 6/6 trip. No abilities.
Until it attacks next turn.
It's true.
So this Dragon's Rage Channeler, I mean, Kellen's at 14, Zach's at 13. That's a scary place to be. And it looks like Mishra's Bauble trigger on the Dragon's Rage Channeler again. It's getting to the point where the Darcy's gonna have to attack. Can't even block.
Yeah, I mean the thing is that the Titan is stymied for now, but it's still there.
Yes.
Like it's not going anywhere. And Unholy he could kill it, which would be a big pickup. But for the moment, and then the Titan attacks next turn and get some more lands, do your thing. The Rangers are providing some defense as well. So
Zach,
got some work to do for Zach here.
Zach taking a look at the top of Kellen's deck with that Mishra's Bauble, putting the dice on the deck. Remember to draw.
Smart. Oh, and there's the Unholy Heat.
There it is.
One red, kill a 6/6. Just unbelievable.
Yes.
Mighty Titan, not so mighty.
Not so mighty after all. Now this Boreal Grazer does have reach, so it will jump in front of that Dragon's Rage Channeler. So Kellen gonna stay at 14 here. Does Zach have anything else he'd like to do? He's got 1 card left in hand. That's end of the turn, it looks like.
Bye, Gigant. We got some bad news for Kellen here, though.
Oh no.
When you buy something on credit, you got to pay your bills.
Yep.
So gonna pay for that pact and not have much to do this turn.
Yeah, all the dice can be removed now. Zach drew his card. Kellen paid his tax. We can move on.
2 mana up. We have that one comes in. That's gonna bounce Sun home. Yeah, there's not much you can do here. Honestly,
not much.
Tough turn.
That is a tough turn. Saying go. So Zach's chance is now. But all we saw him do, I mean, besides take care of the things, like we know Zach has Gigantha in hand now. Can the clock be fast enough this time around?
I mean, Kellen's at 14. It's still a long ways to go. And without Ragavan to give you the extra mana for the Gigantha, playing Colossipede here and tapping out for it is a pretty scary place to be. So we'll see what Zach's able to do. There's a Ragavan being dash. That is an available avenue for sure.
Yes.
But the clock is, Kellen has some time.
It is tick-tocking. All right, Ragavan dashing in. Dragon Rage Channeler and Ragavan both getting in. So that's 5 damage. Amulet of Vigor is the hit off of Ragavan, making a treasure. Yep, down to 9 goes Kellen and a second Dragon's Rage Channeler. is going to be played before bouncing that Ragavan back to hand. And I saw a little peek of an Unholy Heat in Zach's hand here as well.
Yeah, we're one short though. Zach's got 8 damage next turn. Kellen at 9. But does have an answer to a Titan here once again, where he play Titan. You know, it can do some stuff, but if it dies, he gets some lands. It won't matter too much, so we'll see. Kellen's got a lot of mana available.
Yes, he does as the turn gets passed back. And we'll see what Zach is going to do here. You're going to go to attacks. No Ragavan this time around. So just attacking for 6 in the air. I believe it was the new Dismember.
Okay. Which member?
This one.
Oh, okay. She gets to pay only 2 life there with the black from the Olgari Rot farm.
Right.
Could have used the Mycosynth Garden to make black also, but perhaps has other plans for that mana.
Yes. That's what I was going to say. One of the new cards added to this Amulet Titan deck, the Mycosynth Gardens. Recent addition. We'll see.
There he is. There he is. Let's hear it for Gigantha.
Yay.
Just a 5/5.
Listen.
Getting in.
Doing great.
One treasure up.
I believe Gigantha also a beast, just like a Boreal Grazer.
I think it's an elk.
Is it an elk?
I think so, yeah. But it's good enough.
It's good enough. Whatever it is, it was good enough.
All right.
5/5, whatever it was.
Yeah, definitely a pretty crazy game there, honestly. You know, a lot of back and forth. You know, Kellen losing that amulet to his own explosives.
Right.
That early turn was pretty rough, honestly. You know, I mean, I don't know if the explosives was drawn on like turn 1 or 2. Maybe you could play, you know, maybe you could hold on to the amulet or something like that too. But definitely, you know, a big setback, and then it ended up being just enough.
Yeah, needed to happen though, because that was a lot of pressure we were seeing. So, you know, sometimes you just gotta roll with the punches and hope that it works out.
Looks like we're gonna pop into the middle of game 3 here, do a slight tech error, which is totally cool. And we're gonna see a pretty big board state.
Right. And we see Kellen with 2 constructs out on the battlefield. I'm imagining found an amulet with the 3rd chapter as the Urza Saga is in the bin, and a Boreal Grazer. So it will play some extra lands here, get some blockers out onto the battlefield. So totally stymieing that Ragavan and being able to play a 2nd amulet here. Wow.
Ooh, yeah. So a lot going on here because the Mycosynth Garden can copy the 1st amulet to Grovy's constructs. So even a bolt couldn't kill a construct here. And that Ragavan looking a little lonely here, staring down multiple huge creatures and a non-sloth, sorry.
Right.
So here's the garden copying the amulet. Now, of course, it does kill one of Kellen's lands, but now there are 2 5/5s in play,
right,
which is 2 Jarn Glock.
That is
so
a lot of power. Ragavan just going to jump in front of one. And I will say, apparently this was Kellen on a mulligan to 5. As we see, Zach has a full grip right now. Kellen has 2 cards in hand.
Yeah, and we saw there, so the attack, Zach is able to block the one he bolted. So the Ragavan was able to kill the 5/5 token, but still 5/5 left over. And honestly, that's kind of fine because if you're Kellen, you're scared to rush down.
Right.
You don't want to lose all your tokens at once. So trade off, have a 5/5 in play. Zach's at 8. Right. And then you also just have 3 amulets in play. So you're just threatening to do a bunch of big mana stuff also. So very good spot to be where you're applying enough pressure where your opponent has to react to you, but also have this, you know, big stuff going on in the background as well.
Yes. And it looks like, you know, Zach down to 7 off that fetch. So it's scary. A Blood Moon here. That doesn't really make the construct any smaller.
Yeah, a little late. Late to the party here, but again, the construct is currently a 4/4, thanks to the 3 amulets and the construct itself. So at a bolt range. Delirium, I see artifact, land. He has Delirium. Land creature artifact.
Land creature artifact instant. Yep.
And there's the heat. All right.
So let's see, a Boreal Grazer versus the world here, or is it Blood Moon versus the world?
Yeah, we got a game here now, honestly. I mean, I don't know how many forests Kellen's playing, but it's almost forest or bust at this point. Unless there's some Force of Vigors in the equation also.
Which is definitely possible. We see Zach drawing a Ragavan for turn. We'll see if he has interest starting with an expressive iteration. Good place to start usually. We see land, Aethergust. Going to quickly put that Aethergust in hand. One of the lands to exile and one of the lands back to the library, and Spirepuff Canal coming in untapped because it is a mountain as of right now, playing that Ragavan and passing the turn back.
Yeah, usually the phrase is a chip in a chair. Right now,
Yes.
Kellen's got a sloth in a chair. Honestly, without the
Couple of amulets.
without the Grazer in play right now, this Rocket Man would definitely go pretty heavy on things. Although Zach's got the answer, it looks like.
Yeah, I mean, another expressive iteration. Like, how interested are you in Aether Gusting this Grazer so that Ragavan can get across? I mean,
Very interested.
Kellen's still at 20.
Yeah, very interested.
Yeah. We see Dragon Rage Channeler, a land, and I did not see the third card.
There's a fun game of chicken here, where so Zach casts the Aether Gust targeting the Grazer. If Kellen puts it on top, when Zach attacks, the Ragavan will hit it. But then Zach can just not attack. Just kind of like a fun little song and dance. We're just gonna go with the Unholy Heat, whatever that works too, I guess.
Yes, right?
No fun sub games.
Just pick however you want to do it. In comes the Ragavan, exile that top card,
It's Valakut.
Valakut Molten Pinnacle. So a lot of pressure now from Zach's side. So maybe able to stabilize at the 7 life. I'm just gonna say go. So Kellen's at 18, but this life total can go down pretty quickly once things get rolling from Zach's side as we see a third path iconoclast in Zach's hand.
Yeah. I mean, Kellen's just completely helpless right now. It just comes down to like, can Kellen find a forest and a way to deal with this Blood Moon? If so, then yeah. I mean, obviously these triple amulets can do some cool stuff, but looks like that's probably going to be in tough shape. And then Zach here still has the Aether Gust in hand, which can answer the Force of Vigor if that's going to be the part of the equation that Kellen's looking for to answer this problem.
We see third path iconoclast coming down here. Underworld Breach going to trigger that iconoclast as well as the Dragon's Rage Channeler. So gonna make a token and let's see triggers all around. I'm gonna see a Scalding Tarn on top. Quickly put that into the graveyard. Checking the hand again, making sure my Aether Gust is still there. That's the insurance policy.
Yep.
And
now just cast a bunch of stuff in the graveyard, make a bunch of tokens, and I think this one's pretty much wrapped up at this point.
Yeah, we see Zach tapping a blue, casting Consider, going to exile a land, and an expressive iteration. Trigger and trigger again. So that's the second token off of third path, and going to surveil off of Dragon's Rage Channeler again, putting another Underworld Breach into the graveyard. Taking a look, deciding to keep that and draw for turn. Taking a look through the graveyard, seeing what else he might want to exile here, might want to cast. And it looks like Mishra's Bauble might be the next target. So this is just going.
This is fun for me because
this is fair.
This is all play by play, no color. You're just explaining what's happening, and I got nothing else to say. Honestly, I mean,
right?
Zach's in great shape.
What do you think about Zach's token choice for third path iconoclast?
I'll give it a B minus.
It is a Pokemon card, correct?
Pokemon. Looks like a foil Pokemon, even though
it does.
Existed, but
it does. I don't know which kind of Pokemon it is.
I like Zach.
You use Pokemon.
Like, yeah, Pokemon are okay. I like Zach a lot. I don't love Zach's choice in like foils and arts and stuff, but Zach's a good dude.
Full art islands. And let's see. We see this Bauble. Oh, he's trying to figure out maybe we lost some mana or a spell here or something. Triggers. Did we DRC trigger? Going to go down 1 on the treasury. Going to cast it looks like Consider. Delving away, Unholy Heat, Expressive Iteration, and another Underworld Breach. Let's take a look here. Cracking to look at Kellen's top card. So Zach can now tell Kellen if the match is in fact over or not, right?
That's true.
So Zach up to 4 tokens.
So now, is Zach allowed to just like drop that card and reveal it? It makes it be a warning, right? You can't. As you can look at it and just tell Kellen.
Zach is playing fair breach.
I'm sorry, you're right. You're right. Gotta play it. Keep it honest.
Let's see. What do we got here? I feel like I did that once where like I accidentally like showed my opponent like the bottom of my deck and I got a warning. So
quit showing off.
I know. We see Ragavan also going to the exile pile, make another token, casting Mishra's Bauble once again, cracking it once again. So again, able to cast that Bauble over and over again for the cost of exile 3 cards from the graveyard. It does have escape, as does everything else. Just going to pass the turn back. So I've got my 5 tokens, third path iconoclast, Blood Moon, Ragavan, Dragon's Rage Channeler, and 2 mana up.
Yep. My analysis is this looks very bad for Kellen.
That is great analysis. And we see Valakut come down, but it's not actually Valakut, it's just a mountain.
Yeah, I mean, I guess Valakut probably started off as a mountain, right? It was just
Yeah.
a mountain at some point,
It was.
and then it became a Valakut.
Now it is no longer, as Zach sending everyone into the red zone, counting it up, saying
I count 13. What do you count?
saying it wasn't quite
Isn't
I guess that's it.
Oh, I guess there's no
The bolt
delirium.
upstairs, there was no delirium.
Right, I'm sorry.
So
I zoned out during
the
the breach turn, so I kind of forgot about that one.
right, the
So
Dragon's Rage Channeler, that's why Zach was very particular about what cards to take out of the graveyard and what cards to leave in. But it worked out in his favor as he takes that match down 2-1, and an impressive showing from the Fair Breach deck.
big win for Zach. We're going up to 3-1, and honestly, a matchup where you seem a little more scared because you're not playing Murktide. You know, no counterspell because of Gigantha, no Murktide for a fast clock. You know, you're playing the underworld breaches that are good in these grindy games, but like, you know, Amulet might just kill you, so you don't necessarily have a chance at those games too. But great win from Zach, and it looks pretty good.
Yeah, it was a solid round. And speaking of a solid round, that was our last round for coverage for us.
Yes, that's the bad news.
We are passing off the mic to Dom Harvey and Andrew
Ellenbogen, Pro Tour champion.
Yes,
Andrew Ellenbogen and Dom Harvey, great commentator as well. And you'll be in good hands. All right, we appreciate you all hanging out with us. Obviously,
they can all keep an eye on your Ragavans for you and everything.
Yeah. And I'll let you know when your Amulet Titan player who's under Blood Moon with nothing in hand is that on board. So we got a giveaway to do.
Yes.
And watch for that as well. We appreciate obviously being on, all you watching, and we'll see you all
once
next
again.
time.
I'm Nicole Callahan, also known as Lady of the Crease, joined here today by Jim Davis MTG on all the socials. You can find us, and we're gonna pass things back over.
Yep. Back to you in the booth.